Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Tuesday on the early line on SportsGrid. We are just five days away from the start of a new college football season. That is Saturday. It is week 0, and we get you set for it in just a moment. We'll look at the PGA Tour postseason. Our guy Keith Stewart on the road, following all along with what is happening in the FedEx Cup playoffs. We'll look back at Memphis, preview the BMW Championship out in Denver, and then it becomes Win Total Tuesday to end out this second hour. A focus on the NFC West. Can the 49ers actually win a Lombardi Trophy? Will the Rams be back in the playoff hunt? What about Seattle with first-year head coach Mike Macdonald? And can Arizona find its way back as well with a fully healthy Kyler Murray for the entirety of 2024? A lot to get into here, DRS, in this second hour. 2 more hours to go up until 11 a.m. Eastern.
And maybe the biggest question, Ben, you being a college football guy, you got to find this out. Like, does Georgia Tech bring the rambling wreck car on the road to Dublin, Ireland? Like, are they going to be able to drive that bad boy out like they do at home in Atlanta? Like, those are some of the things I need to know, because that could be the difference in the game plan. Like, we don't have our car today, Ben. We can't be outperforming Florida State here. If that car is on the road and I see it drive out in Dublin, well, you're looking at maybe an outright victory for GT.
I think they're launching it off of the port of the Gulf of Mexico, going around the Atlantic and up to Dublin, if I am not mistaken. Maybe, though, DRS, maybe somehow, some way, the idea of the Ramblin' Wreck car on the road, or whatever Georgia Tech is brewing up at this moment, is the reason for significant line movement for this week 0 opener, the Irish opener, the Dublin debut, and this ACC showdown between 10th-ranked Florida State and Georgia Tech. Again, we mentioned this yesterday. Up until about a week ago, Florida State was a 13.5-point favorite, comfortably flirting with a 2-touchdown spread in favor of a team we believe would be ranked in the top 10, with one of the 10 best prices to win a national championship this year, and confirmed by the AP poll last week that FSU was a top 10 team in the country. For whatever reason, the Yellow Jackets continue to see the line work in their favor. It was 10.5 last night. It's back up to 11 and a hook in favor of the Seminoles. But, Donnie, I don't remember this much line movement for a week 0 game. Maybe it's attention being paid to the spread as we get closer and closer to a college football season. But Georgia Tech is seeing the market favor the Yellow Jackets and getting this down. Still a 2-score number, but much closer to single digits than it was just about a week ago.
Look, the questions are going to come up with Mike Norvell. Some are saying, Ben, he lost the program in that final game of the season last year, and they haven't yet been able to introduce this new football team to the country yet. There's a lot of question marks out there. It's very rare you get beat by 60 points in a competitive bowl game when you run your starters out there. Tough scene for Florida State. That's why that line is dropping. Last time we saw Florida State, they were an embarrassment to the state of Florida and college football. And if I was commissioner, I might have knocked them down to D2 or even D3 for a year or two for being that embarrassment here. So there you go.
I mean, it's an idiotic approach, but perhaps it is what is moving the line at this moment. It is what casuals would say in college football, looking at a 60-point score difference in that margin between Florida State and Georgia in the Orange Bowl, but maybe it is influencing the public mind. However, this was from John Ewing, who does some great work for BetMGM, about why the line is moving. There's a lot more sharp money than there is recreational play, and all the sharp money has been on Georgia Tech. That is at least the thought as of this moment. Maybe that sharp money believes in Haynes King, who returns at the quarterback spot. Maybe it believes in Brent Key, who has done a great job as the head coach, first an interim head man that had a 4-4 record in 2022, then the permanent head coach that led the Yellow Jackets to a bowl game and bowl victory last year over UCF. For whatever reason, the line is working. Again, as we shared yesterday, some early plays, and when those props become available, a full breakdown later this week. Let's look at the 3 other games. That also includes an ACC school on Saturday. That's SMU. Yes, Southern Methodist University, located in Dallas, Texas, is now a member of the Atlantic Coast Conference. They are nearly a 4-touchdown favorite against Nevada, who named its starting quarterback Brendan Lewis, who has been a veteran and started 10 of 12 games for the Wolfpack as the starter this year. New head coach, though, in Reno, it's Jeff Choate, who worked the last couple of years as the defensive coordinator, or co-DC at least, in Austin for Texas, has head coaching experience as the head coach of Montana State, an FCS powerhouse that, as you saw there, plays on Saturday as well, and is a double-digit favorite as an FCS school over the FBS New Mexico.
Yeah, Rhett Lashley, Miami fame for myself here. Very good offensive coordinator and a head coach. And also, here's what you like when you take a look at SMU, Ben. Returning your starting quarterback back. Obviously, your coach is still in place. So the offensive scheme got extra work in the offseason. If you notice last year on that SMU schedule, when not playing up in competition and playing light competition or lower, look at some of those scores for SMU last year. And if you're taking a look at Nevada, coming off a season where they were pretty porous last year, I do believe that SMU, you want to lay 27.5 on the road? Not necessarily. But I look at that 56.5 point total and say to myself, quarterback coming back for Nevada, SMU in gear. And again, those scores against light competition, which, yes, they are an ACC team, but this isn't an ACC game against Nevada at this point. They should be able to roll up and down that field here. Not comfortable with the 4 touchdowns, but if you're taking some of those props from an SMU perspective, I expect them to get into the high 30s, Ben, low 40s in this game.
Completely agree. I would look at a team total for the Stangs. Preston Stone back at the quarterback spot. A ton of his weapons return offensively as well. And SMU was great defensively last year. One of the best rushing defenses in the country, a top 15 scoring unit as well. Rhett Lashley has continued the standard in Dallas. SMU has long desired to be back in a power conference. Of course, we know the Pony Express, the death penalty, and all of that, but it has had ramifications. SMU is now back among the Power Four. Last year in the AAC, an undefeated run to a conference championship, an 11-win season for the Mustangs, and 78% of the production from a year ago returns. That's 11th most out of 134 FBS schools in all of college football. I cannot wait to see what the Mustangs do this year, DRS, because all of the conference realignment that we will see play out in 2024 is intriguing. But it's really been between power conference schools finding a new home with the dissolution of the Pac-12. It is really SMU as the only school going from a group of 5 league to a power conference. We saw that in 4 spots last year in the Big 12. UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, BYU. Look at the conference records. It was not bright for those 4 new members in the Big 12. It is an elevation on a week-to-week status for SMU, but at a 12-1 price with a win total of 8.5. I look forward to seeing what SMU can do this year. At least 7 wins in the last 5 seasons in Dallas. And again, quickly to Montana State. What a run the Bobcats have had. They have made the FCS postseason each of the past 3 years under Brent Vigen, who is the head coach of MSU. They are a double-digit favorite as an FCS school over the FBS school in New Mexico, and I think the line is correct. They are 32-9 under Vigen in his 3 years in Bozeman.
Yeah, New Mexico State certainly on hard times at that point. You can't be, and again, you're hosting a game and you're double-digit underdogs to Montana State. But just let you know, like some of those teams outside of that Division 1A level per se, or the FBS level, they're really good football teams, and they can challenge some of those bottom feeders and beat them, and they're supposed to, favored by double digits here.
No doubt about it. And the Nightcap, midnight Eastern time. Get ready for some week 0 behavior. Hawaii, 38.5 point favorite at home against Delaware State, an FCS school. Braden Schrager, the quarterback for the Rainbow Warriors, is back, and he is going to throw it all around the yard.